AI is one of those topics that continuously gets talked about in the media, and it is constantly becoming ingrained in everyone's life. Like with things like Google Maps, you can't even use Google without an AI answer coming up to help. Um, and there's a lot of environmental factors that tie into AI, dealing with efficacy and how people feel towards it. Um, but it's a pretty common thing now, and Gen Z is the generation that's getting involved with it, and I really wonder. I wish I could be a fly on the wall during the times where the internet was in its inception, and everyone was crazy about it, and there were naysayers and also other people that believed in the possibility of the internet and its potential. But I think this is bigger than that. Um, the internet made things a lot more accessible. So people holding knowledge all to themselves um, really ended up becoming non existent over the course of the 20, 30 years from the point of the creation of the internet. But I think the thing that's such a game changer with AI is the fact that because of COVID, there was this transition to a lot of jobs being online or remote or anything being online, really. And the need for actual human intervention diminished more and more. And I think that kind of sped up the process for AI to get its foothold and made it an easier transition because most people are familiar with using technology at this point. Even the past generations, because they really had no choice. But I think that there will be this transitional phase where AI will hurt more than it helps, especially within um, college age to um, college age and lower adults who have AI completely ingrained within their everyday life. I know for me, AI has become a very useful tool that has helped me learn a lot, but it's one of those things within school that even if you had no idea of a topic, and even if you had no understanding of it, it's the difference between you getting an A and a zero. Because before AI was big, there's no way you could write an essay and do good on it if you had no understanding of the topic. But putting in a prompt, giving it a little bits and pieces of the information that's needed, you can do fairly well in an essay. And I think that's where that data ends up being skewed if you look towards different measurements of test scores within the school system compared to back then and now. Because obviously there's not this astronomical jump in intelligence, even though um, there are more resources available to grow and learn. But AI is one of those things that I think kind of shows human behavior very well. I always think of it in the way that electrons and electricity move through a circuit. It's always, well, generally, it's the path of least resistance, um, bearing any unforeseen forces acting on it. Um, so I think people are that same way. If they can get something done an easier way without less effort, they'll do it. It just depends on your perception of what you get out of the effort. Because effort facilitates a lot of growth within people, and it generally makes you a harder worker, and it calluses your mind in a way that allows you to continue to do something that's difficult. But with AI, it's like your brain isn't exercising as much as it needs to. So I can see that personal growth diminishing. Um, but I wonder how what could be like the checks and balances of AI, because it's very beneficial within the workspace. To an employer, it makes sense to use AI. You're cutting back on costs, profits increase, and if productivity stays similar or at a normal rate, you lose nothing from it. But from a societal perspective, I think of someone like Adam Smith or other economic thinkers who wanted there to be an open space for people to still have jobs and make money. Um, because during that time, machinery was coming in, people were losing their jobs, very similar to this, very similar to the AI. And I really think about how the advancement of human civilization is almost counteractive to the growth of people. Because people do need jobs. And I wonder how jobs would end up being allocated. Like, would things become more digital? Would there be people that are managing the AI infrastructure? I'm not sure. It's just a lot of thought that goes behind it. I really think that AI is the future, though, and the people that shy away from it because it takes jobs ultimately will be those that are left behind. Very similar to the people that didn't believe in the internet. Um, People believe that AI is on its way, but it's not there yet. I believe that it is here, and it's one of those things that's here to stay, and it would take a lot for it to go away. My true ideas on this subject is people will overcome it. That's the biggest and most apparent thing about human civilization. We've always overcome any adversity, and that's the only thing that stands true to me and sticks out to me so much, because it's very easy to say, oh, everything is over. And there's a lot of doom and gloom going around, and there's a lot of propaganda, but I think everything will be okay. At least that's my hope. I try to put things into context a lot, and I think about a time during World War II and how there was a countrywide war effort towards supporting the war and making sure the U.S. came out on top. I believe it was World War II or either World War One, whichever of the two. Whatever, whichever of the two. But I imagine at that time, and with the development of nuclear weapons, that was a scary time, really scary time. Probably, to me, that seems a lot scarier than what it is now. And maybe that's just looking back and the idea of how there wasn't this understanding of how strong weapons of mass destruction could be. There was so much testing that had to go through it, and then once those nuclear weapons were used, it was just like, oh my God, this is insane. What are we doing? But I don't think there will be a, oh my God, this is insane. What are we doing moment with AI. I think it'll be we need to limit and restrict this in a way that can be beneficial to people, but also doesn't alter lives. Very similar to how the government had GPS technology before the public did. And then things like Google Maps ended up becoming a service that was readily available. But the code is slightly off, so you can't make it as precise as what the US government has. So, like, it's there, but it's restricted. But ultimately, I think, to be very true to my beliefs and my ideas about the country, AI is not that bad. It's not that big a deal. I think these are very westernized problems. It is world changing, but it's not. Everyone still has to go to work. Everyone still has to live their lives. That's what I mean. Even though it is very world changing, and it does impact people, and it does impact people's jobs, but I think war is a much larger topic that's looming, and threat to human life is very much in our face. So, as much as I would like to harp on topics associated with AI, there are much worse things in the world right now. Thanks for listening to me ramble and rant about random topics that I'm not qualified to talk about.